Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO.
And we welcome you to the frozen tundra of Missoula, Montana once again, first weekend of March. Great to have you with us on Missoula Real Estate Today, which is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane not here, but Windermere Real Estate is here. That's good. A veteran of Missoula Real Estate Today, Brint Wahlberg and the Wahlberg Team of Windermere with us. Welcome, Brint.
Hey, Danny. Happy to be here. And I got to tell you, first of all, I love the frozen tundra shout out as a Green Bay Packer fan with family from all over Wisconsin.
All right.
Really like it. But you're throwing me for a loop here because you're not Peter. I'm in a different studio, but I'm loving this. This is cool. This should be fun.
I will. My wife will be thrilled that you're a Packers fan.
Oh, good.
I finally got to take her to Lambeau Field for an anniversary in 2017.
Okay.
A year ago, October.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it was the week after Aaron Rodgers went down. Of course.
So not so perfect.
But still, it was Lambeau Field. It was a Packers game, and it was a pretty exciting atmosphere. So
it feels like a macro scale of going to a Grizz game to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So I just love it.
Yeah, she'll be thrilled to know that. So, well, again, introduced to you as Brint Wahlberg, the Wahlberg Team of Windermere Real Estate. That's not a new concept, but I guess maybe a little more common. Tell us about who the Wahlberg Team is and how that all works.
Yeah, so the Wahlberg Team, it's myself, my mother Judy, my wife Courtney, and my sister Chris. And so I think a lot of people probably recognize Mom's name because Mom has been selling real estate in Missoula since 1978, which is a year before I was actually born. So I grew up watching Mom sell real estate. She always tells this story. When I was 6, I told her I wanted to be a realtor like her, and she said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, you drive down the streets with the car window down with your arm out the window, just with your elbow resting on the side of the car, and that just looks like so much fun." And so when I was 20, I got licensed and joined her. I wound up, over the course of my real estate career, completing my business degree at the UM. My sister, once complete with the Navy, joined our team in about 2011. And then my wife, who is a property manager for quite some time, has transitioned over to real estate as well, too. So we're a big family team of 4. We've been at Windermere since 2012. Of course, we're within shouting distance of Diane's office and Diane's group. So we're a great family there. And the whole company itself is a big family as well, too. So, happy to be here. As always, whenever Diane tells me I got to get the stats guy in, I always get some notes down and get ready to go.
So when you finally got your real estate license, is the first thing you did drive down the street with the window open and your arm out? Is that?
I should have. Yeah. Let's just say absolutely.
Okay, just say yes. It makes for a better story.
It makes for a much better.
And
story.
you are an awesome, excellent numbers guy.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and kind of start throwing some of that out right now and sort of get a feel for where the Missoula real estate market is, dollars and cents wise, or the market in general, Montana overall, however you want to do that. But some numbers that we need to get caught up on.
Okay, perfect. And so like one thing that I've talked about before is that I chair the housing report for the Missoula Organization of Realtors. So we actually have our annual housing report coming out that is a combination of real estate data, rental data, land use data, development data, homelessness information, assistance programs, finance, foreclosure, all sorts of things like that. So I'm going to tease with a little bit of data that's going to be coming out in this report. And then I've got a whole bunch of extra things here as well to share. So we'll just see how this goes. But of course, the big question is, so what's Missoula? What's the sales prices? What's the median value in Missoula?
That's what everyone always comes down to, right? What's it going to cost me?
So the year-end median sales price in Missoula is $290,000. And so when you look at that, that is an 8% increase over where it was at essentially this point last year when it was about $268,950. So big median sales price jump, our largest median sales price jump that we have seen since the recovery from the bubble years. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people ask, well, why? Like, has Missoula's economy exploded? Are we seeing excellent economic data? Well, it's a little bit more of a mixed bag. Median incomes are up, but they're not up substantially. Missoula, it's a very fascinating area, especially within our city limits, our urban area. 52% of Missoulians still rent their home versus own. We have more renters than owners within the city limits. The county, it's more 60% ownership versus 40%.
How does that compare on a nationwide scale?
It's much more heavier tip to tenants. So
Sure.
you have a couple factors. Obviously, we're a smaller town that is a university town, but you could also flip the script to say our university enrollment has been declining steadily for quite some time. And so it's not like the amount of students here is a growing amount where Missoula's in-migration has continued to go up and up and up. Okay. So more people are still in a situation where they're in a rental. And so what's happening, especially in our market, and this is not a new trend, is it's a supply and demand issue. And so what we have seen statistically is that each year, especially over the last 3 years, people have been paying historically close to list price across our entire database than they have even before the real estate bubble burst. So what that means is, on an average, people are paying over 98% of original list price of every single property listed in Missoula. And so what that tells us when we are picking apart the data is it means we're still seeing a lot of situations where we have full price offers, we have over ask offers, and of course what that happens is every time you set a new sale, you're setting a new benchmark, and then all your new listings are built off that benchmark and up and up and up and climb and climb and climb. So it makes affordability a little bit of a challenge in Missoula. That's not a new story. I mean, I'm born and raised here. A lot of us that live here, a lot of us that have shopped for homes here or that own homes here, you recognize that affordability, accessibility, attainable housing is a challenge. And so our median sales price hopping up 8% in a 12-month span is definitely a sign, largely based upon a lack of supply. And that the most of that supply really comes from we're not building large-scale, affordable-ish subdivision neighborhoods like we used to, even 10 years ago. And a lot of these situations with Missoula being such a popular rental town, we don't have a lot of investors reselling rental properties. And so there's usually a cycle that you see, and this is a National Association of Realtors statistic. Most investors will move properties within a 5 to 7 year cycle. But Missoula, with about a 4% vacancy rate, and where we had a lot of investors purchasing a lot of rental properties for 3% or less interest rates or something and making great rental returns and not having any vacancy, they're hanging on to these properties a lot longer than usual. So just the options for people to buy, especially in the lower price ranges, Missoula lower context, they're just not there as much. And so, again, when that right property comes up, people have to bid it up a little higher. And so that's a big push on our median sales price. So sitting at $290, it'll be interesting to see moving forward this year. Everyone says, what's going to happen? It's going to go up. It's going to keep climbing. The supply issue is not going to solve itself overnight. This is a long-term thing that needs to be done. We need a lot of factors to happen in it. This is going to be something where we could see over the course of years, home values keep just pushing up because of a lack of options. So people that do want to buy have to just pay a higher price to get into a property.
One trend, you just have to drive around a little bit and you will see a lot of development areas, a lot of houses in kind of small acreage areas. I mean, a lot of houses, because they're not necessarily going wide, they're going tall. You see an awful lot of that. I assume that there's a lot of places you could go to around the country and see the same thing. But as a realtor, as a sales rep, is there an automatic appeal to that? I mean, I guess where I'm going with that is that if you think of your dream home, you're buying a house, well, you know, I'd like a big home, maybe something all on one level with an acre, so I'd like a little bit of space. And those kinds of things are not necessarily going to be as prevalent in Missoula as they once were. And so where there's a lot of availability is the kinds I'm talking about, the verticality in development areas. Is obviously there's not a lot of tough sells in Missoula given the percentage of available homes, but do you have to kind of take on a little bit different tactics with what is becoming more readily available in the Missoula housing market? A
little bit, yeah. Like what we're starting to see more and more is condominium and townhome type sales. And so, but what's fascinating about some of that is there's a lot of resale properties, condos or townhomes that were built 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and they have a lot of steps in them, or they're 3-story buildings with no elevators in them and things like that. And so it's a fascinating trend, and what you see is we have a lot of neighborhoods or certain types of properties that appeal on both ends of the home buyer spectrum. And when I say both ends, what I mean is first-time home buyers, like the more millennial generation or some Gen X first-time home buyers, and then the retiring baby boomer where they're downsizing. What's fascinating is a lot, not predominant, not across the board, but a trend that we see is both want single level, both don't want a huge yard to maintain because they do not want to be stuck mowing lawns, twice a week or spend a whole day on a weekend. And they or a central or an easy to access type location. And so it's kind of fascinating. So you see some of these neighborhoods with modest size lots or condominiums with elevators in them or townhomes on smaller lots but have a little bit of a yard space. You've got kind of both ends of the spectrum that are both kind of battling for that type of property. So yeah, we see that. And so it's interesting because obviously sellers with properties like this are definitely realizing the appreciation of the gains that they're getting, because if you have these types of properties, you have the broadest appeal in our market right now. Whereas if you have a 1-acre lot with a house that's one of these tri or quad levels where you got steps to go to the bedroom, steps to go to the kitchen, steps to go to the laundry room, and this, and this, suddenly you're kind of seeing, the market time's a little slower. You have to maybe kind of tinker with that price a little bit and massage it just to get within the flow of where there are available buyers. So it's fascinating to watch.
I think, Brint, too, and also my guest is Brint Wahlberg, member of the Wahlberg Team at Windermere Real Estate here on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And Brint, I guess in my mind, that's something that sort of throws off the perception of square footage of a house. Oh, yeah, 2,000 square feet. That doesn't sound, oh, wait, there's 700 here, there's 700 here, there's 600. It kind of skews that perception of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure can. The other thing that we see as well, too, especially with new construction, condominiums and townhomes, when people say, what's the dollar per square foot? Give me that dollar per square foot. I need to know, because it's like condos and townhomes, your dollar per square foot is significantly higher because you have a whole building. You have common space. There's so many more factors when you're factoring in those kind of things. So it is kind of an interesting thing with how certain statistical reporting or individuals and type of analysis programs really dwell on a dollar per square foot approach or just the square footage of a property, because sometimes you have to take that into context. Yeah.
I think you kind of started to allude to this question I wanted to ask you about, I guess I'll call it most wanted, available or not. If a potential client comes to you and says, Brent wants to be my realtor, here's what I am looking for, and here's the approximate price range. That might have to be a little bit of you got to do some pretty good legwork on that. But are you seeing that? Are there a lot of requests for types of homes or areas that just really are not that available, or are people pretty understand that? I would assume home buyers have to understand the makeup of this market. You help educate them with that. Yeah. But they have to understand that maybe those types of things you're looking for are not necessarily the most available in this market. Yeah,
definitely. So it's kind of funny because we tend to see, like I kind of said, you will have certain segments of the market kind of looking for the same type of property. Yeah. When you look at our numbers and especially our availability, basically between 200,000 and 350,000, which is a broad stroke, but that gap right in there, 200 to 350, is the predominant part of our market. It represents about 2/3 of all of our market sales annually. And so what we'll see is a lot of people, both first-time move up or retirees as well too, they're kind of trying to work within that price range. And so then kind of your next step is the type of property. And usually you get something where we're seeing more and more, of course, a main floor master bedroom, main floor laundry access, limited amount of work needed in the home, or just something where and so we see a lot of that kind of stuff. And what's also fascinating is we're kind of trying to battle some perceptions where there are a lot of first-time home buyers looking at 30, 40, 50-year-old homes expecting them to be completely like a brand new home,
Right,
like spotless.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah,
so there's a lot of challenges that we see. It's nothing new. And so this is where the benefit of a good realtor like Wahlberg Team or Diane Beck can come in handy, where when you're looking at these types of properties, you can analyze if you're getting into something that's going to be a good improvement or a competitive area for a neighborhood, if you need to act fast or if you can negotiate and those kind of things like that.
You've been selling real estate in Missoula long enough now that you kind of get probably have a feel for this, but have any developments or housing communities sprung up in parts of Missoula itself or the outlying areas that, 10 years ago you as a realtor would have thought, no way, they're not, no, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Anything really kind of surprised you as far as developments that have sprung up here and there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at what the Mullen Road and Expressway western corridor of Missoula has become, if you would have told me that, I'd say about 15 years ago, I don't know if I would have totally believed it.
Yeah.
I'm a native Missoulian. We all tell the stories. Reserve Street used to be a 2-lane country road. I could have bought 20 acres out there for $10,000. I should have. I think everyone has that story, right? But I remember, so the neighborhood, Pleasant View is what it's called, the large neighborhood it's a little bit adjacent behind Home Depot.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
It's a very big one. And I remember when that first broke ground, those homes were anywhere from $95,000 to $105,000. And they came up, it was like around 2001, 2002 when they started that development. And then so the builder kept building them at a fairly nominal cost. I bought 2 homes over the course of my path of home ownership in there. And then the resales would come up, and they'd come up like $50,000 higher than what they're being built for. I was like, get out of here. That's crazy. But then all of a sudden, it's like it just kept going up and up and up. And then, of course, the builder, the subdivision was complete. And so then you're not competing against it. You don't have a new build option in the neighborhood. So your only option if you want to live in that neighborhood is to buy a resale. And then suddenly these homes that were being built for $200,000 are selling for $250,000 and $275,000 and $315,000. And so it's been fascinating to look at that neighborhood as a microcosm, but then the rest of Mullen Road, because what we saw was as city sewer has run all the way down Mullen and Expressway as well too, that's where Missoula is growing. Because you look at, we can't go anywhere else, right? We're going to hit a mountain. We're going to hit.
Yeah, there's that mountain. There's that river over there.
We kind of hit those issues. So it's kind of funny. Sales data last year, Mullen Road and Expressway only, just that little area, 287 residential sales in our multiple listing service. Our multiple listing, our MLS, our total area was just a shed under 1,500 total sales in the Missoula area. So Mullen Road and Expressway had more sales than, let's see here, the Rattlesnake, Target Range, Grant Creek, and East Missoula combined. More people bought in just the Mullen Road and Expressway area. And the thing that we're seeing now is a lot of large pieces of land, old ranch land, has come up for sale and been purchased by developers. So Missoula's going west, and it's going to be out that stretch there too. But going back even 10 years, maybe 10 years ago, but especially 15 to 20 years ago, or just growing up here saying, this is going to be where Missoula goes. No way. I mean, that's just crazy. But,
the one that surprised me, if somebody had told me a number of years ago that they're going to put and I'm not knocking the look of it because it's a nice looking development, but somebody told me, they're going to put a pretty big development down on the north end of Scott Street, across from a cemetery, just down the road from the landfill, by the railroad tracks.
Right next to White Pine Sash.
But credit them, and it's a nice looking area, but I guess that's one that kind of, and that's fairly good size too, and I'm sure there's room for expansion, but that's one that kind of recent memory that caught me a little bit by surprise.
Yeah, and I mean that Scott Street Village, I think is what it's called, that neighborhood and other neighborhoods like it are one of these ones where I think the grounds around it required some environmental cleanup because it used to be a sawmill.
Absolutely,
and so there's some federal and some state and some local funds to help try to streamline house prices a little bit and help the developer and the builder. And so like these kind of little things, this is what Missoula's new home entry level new home type of building has become. Because what we used to have is we had Pleasant View as this big guy, and then another one out Expressway, which is called Windsor Park and the adjoining Canyon Creek. And so you had a lot of options of new homes that kind of helped set that benchmark. And I kind of equate this to, right now, of course, there is new construction happening. You see builds all over town, but we don't have those large scale entry-level new neighborhoods. What it's moving to is townhomes and condominiums.
Right.
And so I equate this to, it's like for a lot of buyers, you're trying to buy a car, but there's no new cars. Everything is used. And so what's going to happen with all these used cars, their values are going to be higher because you have no benchmark to set it against. Well, I'm not going to go buy this 5-year-old car because I can get the new one for, $3,000 more. And so what we have now are these little like smaller pocket neighborhoods or these small phase type neighborhoods or the more large scale custom build type things. But again, those, our median sales price on detached single family houses was almost $400,000 last year. But you step it back, townhomes was $255,000. So, I mean, it's almost a $150,000 swing if you want to get in a townhome versus a detached house. So that's why with new construction, it's really moving that direction.
Big disparity there. Brint Wahlberg, part of the Wahlberg team of Windermere Real Estate on Missoula Real Estate Today. I'm not going to let this one go. I know we've only got about, 6 or 7 minutes left.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to let this one go. I asked you, have any areas surprised you in terms of developments that have popped up? If you had to do a forecast, can you see any future areas where you might see, developments like that, or how about just potential? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but just say some potential areas that you think, okay, this might be the next big Missoula thing.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, don't quote me on this. Yeah. Obviously, so I said the west end of town, right? So Mullen Road is probably in some point going to become like a reserve street where it's a 4-lane with a turn lane and all sorts of stuff all the way out to the Y. Really what you need to do is you need to follow the city services. And that's the thing about development is you need city water, you need city sewer, because everything else you're a minimum of an acre with septic requirements, or if you do a community system. Honestly, looking at land availability, I think Missoula is going to, if we're not going west, it's got to be south because you can't really go anywhere else. We have a lot of land just south of town here. Now you have some mixed floodplains, some challenges like that as well too. But over the stretch of the next 10 to 15 years, I think this connection between Missoula and Lolo might get a lot closer. So it seems like naturally that if the option of people don't want to go west, it's going to have to be south. The other stuff, what's interesting, we're seeing still more and more and more is this kind of central core of town where sometimes you get kind of some hodgepodge and mixed use type properties. You've got some homes, you've got some duplexes, you've got some trailer courts, some little things like that here and there. These types of areas are going to be ripe for density. Yeah. And so what I wouldn't be surprised as well too is if we start to see, we've seen this before, maybe a home on a half acre or a couple older trailer homes get removed and a couple townhomes built. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing more things in this kind of central area of town, west of Russell but east of Reserve, start to pop up with 2 to 3 story condo buildings.
Okay. Well, here's the most naive question of the show, and you just kind of nipped at the heels of it right there. But we learned earlier in the show the average home price now in Missoula is in the neighborhood of $290K, up from $268K a year just a year ago, about an 8% bump. And what would it take to get noticeably lower prices in the Missoula market? And I say that's a naive question because in my mind, only bad things. If a lot of bad things happen that you don't want to happen, but if a lot of bad things happen, then the prices might go down.
Right. Okay, so let's throw the bad things out the window.
Okay,
right.
Fine.
So I was a realtor. I've been a realtor for almost 20 years. I went through the real estate bubble. Mom's been in the business for almost 40. She's been through savings and loan and the tech bubble and the real estate. So we've seen bad stuff. Bad stuff could happen. That's going to move market prices. It's kind of funny when people talk about affordability and pricing because I'm not an expert on this. I'm not an economist. I'm not a city planner, but there is no magic bullet. And so people say lower property taxes. Well, that would help. But obviously you have to realize what's going to happen if you lower property taxes with city services. So if you can lower property taxes a bit, streamlined development process to lower the cost to create subdivisions. And then, and then on the other side, you have to raise Missoula wages. You have to provide better jobs. And then you also have to we have to see more things with larger scale developments or condos or townhomes for just more availability and more options. And so I see it as kind of a whole picture, and I don't see so you can't really pick one or the other apart. You got to kind of blend it all together. Yeah. And it seems like that could dramatically help with better options without, going the real negative route, which could also, drop prices, because we've seen that too. So, yeah.
Brint Wahlberg with the Wahlberg Team at Windermere Real Estate, our guest on Missoula Real Estate Today. I can't believe we're down to the final couple minutes here already, Brint. But
oh, man.
If first off, why go with the Wahlberg Team? And if folks would like to get a hold of you, not only for just buying or selling purposes, but maybe learning a little more data from you, what's the best way to reach out to you guys, and why should we come to you?
You bet. So you can find us at wahlbergteam.com. And so it's spelled just like the actor, WAHLBERG, and then team, TEAM.com. You can find our whole family there. You can call us at Windermere Real Estate as well, too. That's 406-541-6550. Why choose us? Like I opened with the show, we're a family team, born and raised here in Missoula. Hope to show that with these numbers that we have a good grasp and grip on this market. We help people all the time with purchasing, selling. We also help with valuations, analysis, planning ahead, estate sales, things like that as well too. So we are a full service team. We are a family team. When you hire us, you get all four of us for the cost of one. So we would love to help anybody with their real estate needs. And we've been here. We're a part of Missoula, and we absolutely love it here.
Okay, see, that's what the average person has to do. Me, if I have any questions, I just lean back in my chair at the basketball games and ask Judy, because she sits right behind
She's right behind you. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Really appreciate you coming on. Did a great job, and we'll look forward to having you on again soon, huh?
Okay. Thanks, Danny.
Hey, also a special thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners that helped bring you Missoula Real Estate Today. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett with MakeItMissoula.com. Again, we want to thank you so much for joining us on Missoula Real Estate Today. Thanks to Brint Wahlberg of the Wahlberg Team at Windermere, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. We hope you found this morning's information to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs, or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email DianeBeck@Realtor.com, or visit her website, HomesInMissoula.com. That's HomesInMissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.